I'm Dr. Omagino John, the Executive Director of the Uganda Heart Institute. I am happy to be in this program documenting the journey of the Uganda Heart Institute from its inception to now. The Uganda Heart Institute indeed has had a long journey way back from 1988 when four founding bodies, that is the Uganda Heart Foundation, the Ministry of Health, Makerere University and Mulago, they sat down, each one with its goal, but to address the issue of heart disease, to which the country had no capacity to handle. That is by way of diagnosis, by way of treatment, and by way of control or prevention programs. Just like all other things, the system had broken down. In history, there was open heart surgery done in Uganda in 1968, 69 up to 71 by the joint Israeli and Italian teams, but using primitive technology, where they would just cool the patient using blocks of ice and then give the surgeon a quick time to pop in and close the defect and come out. Now technology has moved. Now the world has moved, but for us as a nation, this had all collapsed when these teams went due to the political upheavals. So come 1988, the four bodies sat together to form the Uganda Heart Institute. The Ministry of Health had its mandate to keep care and control or prevention. Mulago was for treatment, Makerere for teaching and research, while the foundation, or the Uganda Heart Foundation, was the one which was doing the philanthropy works, collecting funds through Rotarians to send children abroad for surgery. So each one of them wanted this sorted out. Now it was on paper. It couldn't take off until 1994, when a group of us were picked and taken to Italy for treatment, or for training. Now, a point is that earlier the government had tried to get people sent for training, and that included the Professor Maswas and Professor Dabela, the late Professor Mugerwa. All of those ones went around 1970, 72, 73 for training. After training, the conditions could not allow them to come back to continue with the service. So they remained there and served. So for us, we went to Italy, came back end of 1995, and we started in Old Mulago with very little equipment, but we did our first operations there. And on the 4th of April 1996 is when we did our first operation in Old Mulago, a pacemaker implantation under the C-arm. We just had to open the chest and put in the pacer. Eventually, government realized that this work was going on. They allowed us to be posted, and we started forming a team, which by 2007, October 27th, we had our first open heart operation here, which was 40 years after the other team had been doing this work here. It was a very big milestone, and actually the president came in, and together we celebrated this breakthrough. And since then, the journey has been progressive, and now as we stand, we are doing routine open heart surgery and these interventions on literally a daily basis. So to be able to do that, we had to get our own center, our own theater, to develop our own ICU, to train our own personnel. So I sent, I had to make arrangements to send people to India, to send people to the US, to send people to the UK. I've had to send people to Italy. I've had to send people to Korea. And now we have a formidable team. The last teams are now had to go to Egypt and Canada, McMaster's. In fact, even as we talk, some people are there. And when COVID came, about 7 of our people who were in various places for training had to come back. Now, from 2007, the major issues that have taken place are: 1, developing a complete team which can do surgery. So we had to start training locally here, and then we send people abroad for subsequent training to fill up the gap. 2 is we are conducting research, and we are publishing every year in the top-notch journals at least 10 publications, which have put us on the international map. 3 is the works we are doing here. We have developed now a program which has reached a level of, in amongst the children, our rate of diagnosis is at the toppest level, that is up to 95% in terms of diagnosis. While interventions for the children, we can do up to, technically, up to 85% of the children, and leaving only a gap of 15% to be referred abroad. While in the adults, we have reached a level of 95% of capacity to handle, leaving only 15%. Amongst the adults, we can do almost 100% level of diagnosis. The issue right now is expanding this. And that is where now I would want us to look at. The way has been long, the journey has been long, but to be able to do this, we confronted major challenges. One was the issue of the human resource. Much as we are training the people like this up to now, the public service, which was supposed to be the employer, did not have positions for people who are trained to this level, because public service recognizes the highest qualification as a master's. Yet for super specialization, you must, the master's is the entry point, then they train you for 3 to 5 years. And by the time somebody finishes that and is top caliber people, recognized by international bodies, but back home not recognized. So it was getting people to be retained here. Training is expensive because we're taking them abroad, but then when you finish training the people, the system here could not. So up to now, even up to today, we have not had the super specialists paid an extra money, even me, Dr. Magino. But we have had to get that, and I had to turn around, or we have turned around and encourage the younger to come, not for salary, but for professional growth. Because now the facility gives them facilities for professional growth. They are recognized internationally, they get a first-class training, and they can now do things even if they went to private practice. Then too, we have to, so that way people now see not an employment opportunity in terms of just salary, but the opportunities to grow and to conduct research and to conduct what. So that is what is retaining people here. We give them a small professional allowance, but it is not enough. Next challenge we ran into is procurement of items, the things we use. We had to procure here a cath lab, which increased our operational levels. Now, for heart attacks, we don't have to send a patient up. We can look into the heart, make final diagnosis, do treatment, If it needs requiring enlarging of an artery, we enlarge, we put in rings, we put in coils, we put in all these things now are able to do, and it has put the institution to that level, and then the equipment. But for the cath lab to procure it, I was carried and reported taken to the High Court. Why? It was the normal procurement system allows even the Tims and Dickens who do not know what we are talking about, and this is a super specialized service. So getting those challenges, even when we were given money, we could not procure what we needed because it is so highly specialized, and that required, when all those challenges were put together, it was why we were given an act of parliament to separate us from the main Mulago and give us an opportunity to do things and be able to move to that level and procure items that we need. So we have an act which we started in 2016, the Uganda Heart Institute Act, which was meant to solve the challenges that we have had. And since then, we have had to have a board to supervise the work. So we have a functional board to monitor and to give guidance to the institution. With that act, we are able to recruit our own staff separate from public service. With that act, we are now able to processing a structure which will address the terms and the better pay separate from the issue of public service. With that act, we are able now to procure our own entities. For the first time, the word super specialized supplies was and the equipment and the service was defined in that act. And with that, we can now get the human resource, we can develop the human resource and recruit it and look after it. Two, we can procure the goods because we have our own let me say unit. And for example, drugs, NMS is destined to buy all the drugs for all the health institutions, but they could not manage to buy our highly specified supplies because the law didn't have that side. So if you needed us to buy, we buy in smaller quantities but very highly specific, while NMS is very good for the common goods and it makes sense for economic scale. So they cash on in economies of scale and it is easier. So now we can buy all our devices using that clause in the water. And even when we went to the PPDA, initially we had challenges, but the PPDA were given an opportunity and we had to cause the modification of the PPDA Act to allow us to constitute the expert opinion. If 3 consultants or senior consultants sit in a meeting and say, this is the product we want, instead of going to look there and there and there, to save time, you just go straight for what you want. So, having done all that, now the institute is poised to move. And the issue is, we have made a 20-year development plan, and then from the strategic plans, and from the strategic plans we get the annual working plans and the annual budgets. So now, having moved that, the quality of service is good, it is recognized internationally, but now we need to expand it. And the biggest issue became the space. So the space, we have one operating theater. We have a small ICU. Our ICU was handed over to Mulago during the rehabilitation, which has never been completed. So now, with those facilities, we cannot expand the service beyond 1,000 patients per year. Yet the team on the ground, operating teams, I have 4 teams, but they cannot use 4 beds alone. So that one is a limiting factor. So as a result, we have now moved on to the next level. We designed a standalone home, which we processed through the system, and now it is a pipeline project, and the government is taking a loan to construct us a 200-bed facility to solve to solve the space requirements. 2 is they gave us adequate land because we have a 20-year development plan. The president gave a directive, and we have been given 10 acres on Naguru land to be able to set up our own center and expand for the next 50 years. We are very happy about that. So now, next is our human resource structure has been approved. Next, the president has accepted to give scientists a preferable terms of service. So now, using that, now we can come to address the act. And now the full functions of the institution include: 1 is prevention, that is to ensure that we can now get everybody in the country to know about heart disease and how to prevent. We can now use all of FORA because now we have developed a team, we have a mandate, we have a power, we have authority, now we can do that. 2 is the patient care. Patient care now through that act, because now we have got a service and people now know the service is good, we can now spread it not only to the center but to the regional hospitals. So we have now presence in 13 regional hospitals, right from Kabale to Moroto to Arua to all these ones. And luckily enough, we now can now merge it with the universities. Each of those places has a university. So when you get patient care and academia together, you can address quality, you can address research, and you can address training. And now we have fellowship training programs. And as I talk, we are graduating the first high caliber training, people trained jointly between here and other collaborating institutions in the world. Now the next issue to look at is, having said that, if you ask me, I've addressed what the objective, why the Heart Institute was formed. It is to address prevention, then treatment, and inform government on policy and research, which now we are doing. So it is achieved literally. So next is, if you ask me what are the normal challenges now, the challenges I've said, 1 is space, and we are now getting to build. 2 is how to train our people, capacity development. The issue is we now have training programs and the fellowship programs to train for both here, the regional centers, and the private plus non-governmental. Next, you would ask, what about the attraction, or first of all the recruitment? The recruitment is now no longer through the public service, but we have our own board. The act has solved that. Next is the terms, attraction. The terms we are able to now, we are going to do that structure. But the bigger thing is this, that with now the team, we are able to position Uganda as a medical tourist destination by offering first-class services, which we are already doing, to be able to attract referrals from abroad. Already in our system, patients are coming in from Southern Sudan, from Zaire, from Rwanda, from Northern Tanzania to seek this service. We can expand it. So next challenge would be resources, the budget. And we are saying, no, just allow us with a new home, give us money to construct and operationalize this issue. We should be able to generate funds through patient care, through teaching, through research, to run this institution at international level. So to us, we are saying Heart Institute is a success story. And now it has revolutionized the treatment of patients in the country. It has changed, even now, even if you look at the private sector, because we have an ICU, intensive care unit here, patients are used to that level of care. We now can, if you set up a private hospital, whether it is Nakasero or Paragon or what, there is a bar to compare what with. Now, to us, all we need is tools to work. Otherwise, the Heart Institute is a success story. And now, as we are talking, in fact, even in the meeting in the morning here, right now there is a webinar meeting going on. We are trying to give to the public what heart disease is, what heart attack is, as has been ignited recently by the disease when the Archbishop died. Now the coming in of COVID to us has been double-edged. One, it is quite unfortunate that the disease has come. It has a major toll, but it comes with it is a danger to especially so the old people. But the truth is that it is majorly preventable if we can go to the procedures of distancing, of washing, of yes, and now the vaccine has come in play, and we encourage everybody to take the vaccine, because one, the vaccine is the only prevention that we can. But two, even if you got the disease when you have been vaccinated, it will not kill you. It will not be very severe. Just like in those days, measles used to kill all the children literally. But with the vaccine, they now get just a mild form of it, and it has been. So even COVID, that is the direction. However, when COVID came, it placed challenges on us. It placed challenges on us. During that closure, for example, many of our patients were cut off, and we really found it challenging to get to them. Two, it now put a strain on the operational costs. Next, many of our staff fell sick, so you have to support them plus their families. Luckily enough, we never lost any of our staff, but over 25 staff broke down or got COVID. But we managed to support all of them. We never lost any, and even none went onto a ventilator. Next is that the COVID, apart from increasing the costs and disrupting some of our programs, because many of our trainees, people who had gone for the external training, had to come back and interrupt their training. Next is even internal travels. We had been moving out to go to cover and support the regional hospitals as support supervision. We couldn't do it, so we had to cut it down. But now we have resumed all of them. Now, but on a positive note, the COVID gave the country a challenge, and the statement was that nobody, even if you had the money, had to go abroad for treatment. Meaning we now have to develop our own centers. So this is the opportunity to develop our centers such that we do not need to send any patient abroad. And that is why for us as a Heart Institute, we are standing strong to say we are at a position to position Uganda as a medical tourist destination, meaning we should be able to meet our local demand and also attract referrals from all we need is support, and we are very grateful to the President. He gave two important directives. In 2007, he wrote, it was 2007 and it came out in 2008. He made a directive which enabled us to get funds that enabled us eventually to buy a cath lab. So to notice and give us that support was a key issue, and that one opened up the development, and now we cannot say we have reached the level of not sending anybody abroad for diseases like heart attack, we have now literally no reason to send a patient abroad for heart attack, especially so in the heart treatment, especially so in the adults. All now we need is to expand the service. But the second one is now the land. He has given us the land, and that is good. So now it is, we need the construction finished, and we need the operational fund increased, and the recognition of our people. Finally, we have both internal and external collaborators. One is the Ministry of Health, 2 is Mulago, 3 is the Makerere University. Then local funders like Wansung, or these MTNs and rest of the things. But we have external collaborations like the Rotary Foundation, Weather International. We have Case Western Reserve University. We have the Saudi government. We have the Italian government. We have Chain of Hope, Cape Town universities, now Makamasas University, where we have built collaborations, and the Indian government, which has taken many of our patients, trained for us very many people, and now we are able to run our own service. All those ones are key. But to the policymakers, exercise and normal feeding should be really emphasized. Exercise, the body is better than an accountant. It balances its input every day. If you cannot burn all what you enter or you are eating, then don't eat. Thank you.